Hello everyone and welcome back to PASSTHEauxCORD. Of all the bands in the world, there is only one permanently tattooed on the top of my unevenly tanned arm. And there is only one that got me into music in the first place. The reason this whole channel is here, the reason I even like music probably at all, is Linkin Park. Of all the bands you've ever heard me talk about, I am by far the longest running fan of this band, stretching all the way back to when I was like 8 probably. So yeah, many years. Naturally, the tragic passing of Chester Bennington hit really hard. It did for a lot of people, so much so that the addition of a new lead singer in lead up to this album with Emily Armstrong was a pretty controversial choice. It had been talked about for quite some time whether or not Mike would simply take up the place of doing both types of vocals, if there would be another singer, if old work would just get reworked, so on and so forth, or if there would ever even be a Linkin Park album to speak of in the future at all. But the day has come. From Zero is here. It has released. It exists. And saying all of that feels a little bit surreal, to be honest. Just looking at their page on streaming and on like album of the year and stuff and seeing another album at the end has been very weird. In lead ups to this, we have seen 3 singles. I think one actually just released a little bit prior to the album that I have not heard yet. And the Emptiness Machine being the lead single got my hype up enormously. I think it really calls back to some of the original work that Linkin Park did quite well, and I think Emily Armstrong sounds fantastic on the song. The same can be said for the follow-up, Heavy as the Crown, which saw a release, I want to say a good month or so later, and then I want to say only a good week or two back now, we got Over Each Other, and yeah, that was kind of where my hype died down a little bit, honestly, because the pop rock direction of this one was absolutely not doing it for me. The 2 beforehand had sounded a lot like Meteora and Hybrid Theory, that kind of back to basics, straightforward, this is what Linkin Park sounds like type of thing, and Over Each Other sounds the most like One More Light if we were to compare it to any Linkin Park album, which is kind of unfortunate. I have not heard Two-Face in its entirety yet. I think I heard a snippet of it, and I have heard just like a few snippets in general of this album, hoping for the best because everything else I've heard sounds cool. So hopefully we just have one song that's a bit of a fluke. I'll go back through and just very quickly re-listen to the other songs that I have already heard, but we're not going to do the full like dive in. My thoughts will be more brief. I believe I've talked about all of those on the podcast as well, so if you've been following along with that at all, then you already know. Let's get into it. From Zero, our opening track, From Zero intro, just a little like 30-second opening track, and then that leads into the Emptiness Machine, so let's just start it off. It's a very interesting sound to start things off on.
From zero?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Like, from nothing?
Okay, we now have the most confusing and out of place track in the entire Linkin Park discography, I think, with that intro. It was some church choir sounding type vocals almost, if that makes any sense, if that's what you want to call that, and then just some band banter, back and forth stuff, heard Mike and Emily. How that leads into the Emptiness Machine, I'm not really sure. Just gonna do a quick re-listen here, freshen things up. Okay, yeah, so lead single on here, Emptiness Machine. I have heard this song a lot of times by now, and I really liked it to start with, still really like it. Pretty amazing song, honestly. Some of the best stuff from Linkin Park as a whole that we've seen for many years is what I would call this song, I suppose. Does kind of bring similar energy as a lot of what we saw on Living Things, interestingly enough. I think a lot of where I get that from is because of Mike's sung performance rather than rap performance, but also there are some like keys washed into the mix a little bit, some electronics taking place here and there, and that was such a electronic infused album that it kind of feels like that era, while you're still having those hard rocking drums and guitars, of course, throughout it. I truly think beyond that Emily Armstrong was such a great pick for the vocalist because her tone is just fantastic, in range, kind of matches what Chester could pull off. If you're going to have someone attempt it, I think they picked someone with a great voice to do so. I also think that while they are a bit vague, the lyrics on there do seem to have some pretty solid meaning, especially if you want to relate them to who's singing them and some potential past history. If you want to get a little tinfoil hat on your head, perhaps. I won't say much beyond that because it's just a theory after all. But great song, good single. Let's do actual reaction things now. What's our next track? Cut the Bridge, looks like. Let's get on into it. Oh, I love that already. Ooh. Those drums are crispy, dude. Delicious. Rapping mic, alright. Let's get it. Alright. Oh, that's a dramatic switch, okay. Okay. This one's a fucking anthem, goddamn, okay.
Think and try and that you never really lose. Didn't put the powder in the keg around neck just like a tentacle. I let it
Some of
go.
these lyrics, man. This like loud quiet dynamic thing is super cool. Yeah. That sounds fucking crazy. That fucking rocks, okay. Okay, yeah, absolute fucking banger. I'll say that much. Really good anthemic feel to that one. I want to say that's gotta be, yeah, that's gotta be one of the longer songs on here. That one's pushing the 4-minute mark. That's actually kind of long, I think, compared to most of what's on here. And it feels like it goes through a lot of different phases. I did really enjoy the loud, quiet dynamic, like I was saying, where you get this kind of ethereal hook coming in from some harder hitting verses. That was really interesting, really neat. I noticed Mike trying to make a lot of similes on there, some of them landing, some of them not so much, but the effort is appreciated nonetheless. Otherwise, lyrically seemed pretty straightforward for a Linkin Park track. I wasn't really picking up on a whole lot that needed to be necessarily noted, but I did like that we're getting rapping Mike as not necessarily technically proficient as it might be. Otherwise, though, like, I am really excited to see that one played live. I am fully intending to go on this very long tour that they're doing. There is a date pretty close to me, and that should be a fun old time to listen to. Put that on par with the first two singles, and we've got the second of two singles coming up next here with Heavy is the Crown. I'm gonna go ahead and play that real quick, and we'll just kind of do the little fast thing like last time, because again, have heard this one quite a few times. Alright, yeah, sonically speaking, Heavy as the Crown is definitely my favorite on here so far. Of the, I guess, 3 songs that we've had on here, as well as the next one after it. I know I definitely like it better than that one, so I guess comparing it among 4 songs, I like how Heavy as the Crown sounds by far the most. Really big Meteora vibes on it, which is particularly great. I just love that album a whole lot. Has been one of my favorite albums since basically I knew what an album was. So, big bias leaning towards that. Particularly sounds like Faint. I get that with that little electronic loop sample thing, whatever you want to call it, that comes through multiple times in the track. Really does remind me of a similar thing that happens in Faint. If you've heard that track, you'll know what I'm talking about. Emily Armstrong's vocals on here, fucking fantastic. Mike is doing his thing, rapping. Probably one of the better sounding rap performances I've heard from him in quite some time too. Just really brings that energy. Sound of it is great. Structure of it is your verse chorus Linkin Park stuff that just works. Doesn't break the mold, but doesn't need to. It's just good, just awesome. The only place in which I don't like this song very much is lyrically speaking, because it's kind of doing the whole invisible armies thing. I don't know if anybody's actually using that term still. I feel like I've heard it tossed around, but where it seems like it's some sort of anthem for an uprising, but an uprising against what doesn't really seem to be clear on. It just seems to be this invisible enemy of some sort that's very vague and nondescript. It's a pretty big trope for the more accessible forms of metal and rock. I know it's a big critique I had with Muse's last album, and then even further, I think I've said this in the Voids reaction that I did recently. So I guess this just pops up in albums that I react to for some reason. It's not really giving me anything to latch onto lyrically, but it's something. Either way though, really good song. If anything, it's only grown on me. Love it. Love how it sounds. It's awesome. Next one, Over Each Other. I really didn't like. I have heard this song a few times, so we're gonna spin it again, see if maybe in the context of things I'm liking it more or something. Okay, yeah, so I probably just chopped around in that one. You may have seen in my face when the song picks up a little bit, gets a little bit of a climax in there towards the third quarter, is a bit more exciting, is a little bit something to give some depth to the track. But overall, very poppy sounding song, and I know that that's kind of a baseline standard level critique that isn't necessarily even a bad thing, but in this case it just made it come across very generic, and I did not care for it at all. Really got the whole like radio pop type chorus going on with it right out the gate. Very repetitive, nothing of major texture or grit to just kind of push it into a harder rocking place that Heavy as the Crown was in, that Emptiness Machine was in, that kind of made those tracks feel a little bit more substantial. Overall, just the mellowness of it just makes it feel like a very whatever song to me. But lyrically speaking, it's doing like relationship stuff, which is, you know, about as tried and true as it gets, I guess, if you want. I mean, maybe my 2 out of 10 was a bit harsh when I reviewed this on Album of the Year a little while back, but I don't know how harsh it was. Because, like, really, there's just nothing that makes me want to come running back to that song. It just feels like a whatever the fuck generic song that anybody could have made. But I did notice Mike says something about screaming pants at the end there, so I'm gonna go ahead and guess that Casualty is about to be a bit heavier. I did notice that when I heard the single, and it gave me a little bit of hope, so let's dig in. Let's hope they get a little heavier with it once again. Holy shit. Okay. Hey, I guess, alright. What? Mike's scream. That's crazy. Never heard it that way. That's wild. Wild. Whoa. That sounds like, ooh, what's the fucking song? Oh, that's fucking awesome, though. Oh my god, I love this. Holy shit. Oh my god, that was fucking crazy. Yeah, so much nostalgia for the older, heavier tracks that they've done just came rushing in so quickly. I want to say Pushing Me Away is the song that I was getting that quieter little build-up section. It really sounds like a specific song. I could make the same faint comparison that I did with Heavy as the Crown. I really can't place it though. I can picture a place I listened to it and listening to it, but not the name of the song, so maybe I'll add it in editing if I remember. That was fucking crazy though. Very heavy song. Lyrically, even, just given those older Linkin Park vibes. Nothing super crazy in that regard, but it sounds awesome. I'm not sure what to make of Scream vocal Mike. I guess he kind of did that a little bit on, I don't know if it actually ended up being the recorded version of QWERTY or the live version. He's like dabbled a little bit from what I know, but that's on like a fully recorded song. Everything. That's kind of crazy, having him do a heavier vocal tone. I almost have to wonder if he was considering becoming the main Linkin Park vocalist, and that's why he's dipped into this space. But that is something. I don't know if I'm entirely convinced by it, but sounds pretty cool anyways. Very raw song, very rough around the edges. Realistically, I could probably see myself coming back to that one maybe the most, seconded by Heavy as the Crown. I feel like Heavy as the Crown is just an easier one to put on and play, but that one's so fucking crunchy, dude. It's just really hitting my ears right. Absolutely a fun fucking banger right there. We got Overflow. Overflow is such a Linkin Park title of a title. I don't know, anybody feel me on that? Oh, that's super cool. We got a bit of an... No, it looks like this old song. Okay, just doing an intro.
We're all just up for a riot.
Something very 21 Pilots about this, and I don't know if that's a compliment. She sounds great here. Something a little unsettling about this vibe.
Looking up, the sky is falling. I can hear the
turning from the white sky.
This is really neat. What a nice atmosphere. I have no idea what to make of any of this. This is kind of crazy. That is crazy. That was the fucking Zero riff. Ooh, little Easter egg there. That like couple seconds that played on the tape at the end there, or well, I assume he was like popping tapes in and out, and that's what that sound was supposed to be. One of those was definitely a Zero song, which if you don't know is their project before Linkin Park. Doing a little callback there, I think. Either that or it's like a Linkin Park demo. No. Another thing that I'm having trouble placing just because it's been so many years, but I think that's clever. if that's what they're doing. That was cool, and I have no idea what I think of it beyond that. If you're gonna do a slower Linkin Park song, though, holy shit, that seems like it's the way to do it, because that was extremely cool. Leaving the track, I feel like I'm not entirely sure what all I just heard. I'm not sure if it's because I'm sitting here in front of lights and it's a little late and I'm a little tired. But what an atmosphere they had going on that one. I don't know if it's something where I'm like gonna walk away remembering that one. The structure seems a little inconsistent, so coming back to it might not be one of the tracks I reach for first. This is just kind of a first impressions though, after all. That one seemed really neat. Lots of good sounds happening. Yeah. Two-Faced is the next one, and I believe a single as of like either today or yesterday. It came out just like a little bit early. Ooh. There's a little edgy mood to it. Love those pitch. Well, goddamn. Okay, that's what we're doing with it. Alright. Alright.
That's when I can't bear to put it all behind. I run into it blind like
Ooh. Banging chorus on this. Okay.
told me it wasn't true and pointing every finger at things that you didn't do. Your rules aren't fair. The dark's too vivid. The light's not there. I start blind like
That is nice. So explosive. Dude, yes. Oh my god. Oh, this is so good. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I got chills, dude. Oh my god. This is fantastic.
That's what it is. We're on the same page right now.
Fuck yeah, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, that one's incredible. That one's really great, and I love it a lot. And as someone with the Linkin Park nostalgia that I have mentioned, what a great little return to form moment. Oh my god, it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. What a great callback to some of the earlier sounds they worked with. This feels like a spiritual successor to One Step Closer. If you wanted to dip into a specific song, the breakdown on there, really just channeling that same energy that Chester would come to those breakdowns with, and doing some of the kind of like turntable work in there. It's fucking fantastic, dude. I genuinely cannot wait to replay that one numerous times, and I am so happy that it exists. Lyrically, I feel like it's striking a really good balance too, because I guess what I think causes so many people to latch on to Linkin Park's music, and was the case for me, is that there's a certain level of relatability to it. If you're pissed off at a person, you can go listen to that Linkin Park song, or if you're feeling depressed or struggling with this thing or that thing, whatever, it kind of feels like something you can go to get some of those emotions out, and this one serves those same emotions as One Step Closer as well, definitely. Just seems very fitting in that way, and I fucking love that one. No complaints whatsoever. Two-Face is awesome. We got does that say Stained? My eyes are broken, unfortunately. Yeah, we got Stained next. What? That's crazy. Got some big bass hits, looking like a poppier one again, maybe? Maybe?
and I'm on mouth, I shouldn't have said it.
This is interesting. Very loud, very arena rock.
No repeat, you don't get to make amends like
You try to hide the mark,
Okay,
but
pretty sudden shift there. I do not like that vocal melody. I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, that is not it.
now you're
starts ticking.
Layers we're working with here, though, are satisfying, I'd say.
We both know forgotten doesn't mean forgiven. Knowing you're hiding when no one else sees. Know that your hand's not clean.
and someday realize you had it coming. Pretend
That melody is so distracting to me. I don't like it. I don't like it. Alright, listen, man. It's just not checking the boxes in my head. It's not rubbing me the right way. The sounds are not clicking a lot of times listening to that song. It's just not rubbing my brain right. And so much of this album has that it seems like there's such a distinct back and forth when these songs really work for me and just hit that nice little groove that's exactly where I want them to hit, and when they just don't do that. Really though, this is the only one alongside Over Each Other that I would not come back to. I will come back to this for the sake of reviewing it on the podcast in a few days here. I mean, I'm gonna listen to the whole album again a few more times probably to get my thoughts more clear and concise on it, but that one, not really feeling it. Sort of a generic feel on it, again, like just really didn't have something distinct to latch onto, but I do kind of like that they worked in a certain loud, quiet dynamic to it, like was the case for Cut the Bridge. The sections in between those quieter choruses were a little bit more gutless and a little bit more smooth and cleaned up. Feels like this is another one that will make its way onto the radio and will do its thing. It's what it is. I would say it's better than Over Each Other though, pretty significantly. I guess maybe that's just because you had some like rock elements kind of bouncing things out at least, and a little bit more variation throughout the track. Okay, next track we got up here looks like IGYEIH. Looks like the title we're working with. Let's see, do I have a guess? It's probably gonna be I Gave You Everything I Had. I bet it's I Gave You Everything I Had. Watch me predict that. Watch me predict that right now. And I swear I'm not cheating. If it is that, now I'm gonna look like I'm like I already know. I swear I don't. Maybe I shouldn't have guessed. It's too late. I already did. I can't cut it out. I can't cut it. I could, but I won't. I fucking knew it. I fucking called it. I called it. This rips though. Oh my god. I was really thinking it would be a popular sounding song that had that title though, so I'm pleasantly surprised. Oh my god, that is. The way this one's structured together just fucking slaps, dude. Excellent. It feels like Mike's acting like a hype man, which is kind of funny. I thought the song was done. This was so light. Alright. Yeah, that's fire. What a fucking heater, dude. Oh my god. That was insane. Another really heavy one. I can't even complain about the two popular songs being here at all, because, like, if that's your thing, at least you got some. You know, I don't think there was a lot of people asking for there to be more Linkin Park poppier sounding songs, but I guess, I mean, some people were definitely into One More Light, even if those people were fewer and far between. But I do feel like so much of this is almost borderline fan service at this point. I mean, like, bro, exactly what people have wanted them to sound like again for so long, with the exception that we're working with Emily Armstrong here instead of Chester. But yeah, this is just exactly what I think any longtime fan would have had as the dream sound for them to go back to, is just some really heavy, intense stuff like this. That being said, I don't think that this is one of the better songs of the heavier ones on here. It does seem a little rudimentary, a little bit basic in a way, I guess. That is what I would have to say against it, is that it's not really breaking any any moles might be a little generic. Like, especially on the lyrical end, I guess I did predict exactly what the entire 7-letter acronym stood for before the song even started. It seems pretty predictable, but I could also see it being a pretty cathartic listen if it's something you need in exactly the same way Two-Faced was. But given that Two-Faced is there, and Two-Faced is a little bit better, nullifies this one slightly. It's a good song though. It's a good song. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to pick it apart too much. Good Things Go looks like our final one on here. Let's make it a good one. Let's make it a good one. I think there was a transition there. I would have to run it back to now. Some nice grungy kind of strings. That's cool. Okay. Making up lies, checking my eyes for some kind of lie, but nothing's inside.
When I don't push you when you get too close, it's hard to let go, self-control. Sometimes bad things go.
This is coming across rather melodramatic.
Asking for prayers, but nobody cares. Going on.
And I say I hate you when I don't. I can't do this on my own. You could save me.
No, I'm just taking a shot. Maybe I'm just too eager. Oh, maybe I lost the plot.
Sounds like Quadeca right now. Why does it sound like Quadeca? That's crazy. I'm liking this section a decent bit. Take it up a bit more here.
Say I hate you when I
Oh, I see. I think it perfect loops, because then... Yeah, it does. Okay. Okay, yeah, so I guess that adds a little bit of a reason, I suppose, for the intro track to include those sounds. But, yeah, it does a perfect loop scenario thing. It got so fucking cold in here, suddenly. But, yeah, that was, so that was from Zero, huh? Closer. Thoughts on the closer. Alright one. Probably third from the bottom if I were to rank them. I did like that kind of more climactic moment that Mike was going in a little bit more, putting some emphasis and passion behind it, but it does feel melodramatic and kind of cinematic, theatrical, that sort of thing, but in like a over-the-top AAA movie type deal thing, you know? Just another that feels a little overly commercialized, a little bit too polished, but all things considered, I'm just so glad I can't say that for the majority of the album. If 70% of this is more rough around the edges and aggressive than I expected it to be, that is an absolute win as far as I'm concerned, because as Linkin Park fans will tell you, you just never know if you're gonna end up liking what comes out next. And unfortunately, I am too young to have experienced most of the album cycles, but I will say that this is probably one of the better ones I did experience, because I think I hopped on as Living Things was coming out. I've always really liked Living Things, and then The Hunting Party was like cool for its time. But then, yeah, we had One More Light, was the last one that any Linkin Park fan has in recent memory. You know, that was 7 years ago now. Initial reactions across the board seem far, far better to this than One More Light, and I think that this is a far, far better album than One More Light. That being said, it has like 3 tracks that are pretty much on par with that album. Not to say that those ones are without merit, especially that closer here. It's over the top, it's a little bit mellow as compared to the harder moments you could have sent the album out on. There were better notes to end on, for sure. That one's not bad, though. The other two, I don't know if I really want to hear again, of the poppier songs. Totally arbitrary, not doing any math, have not scored each song yet. I would probably hit it with about a 78%, something like that, 78 out of 100. Super satisfied with it overall, though, and truly, I'm just glad that there's a song like Two-Face in the world that exists that I can come back to now and be like, that's the Linkin Park that I knew and that I wanted to see more from. But truly, overall, the majority are such good songs on this album. Like I said, I mean, we went 7 for 10 pretty easily. So I am very, very just so happy to see the band back in general. It's great. It's awesome to see. These are my very surface level baseline thoughts on the whole thing, though. So don't take any reaction I had to any song here too seriously. But if you did enjoy the video, a like on it would be greatly appreciated. Do subscribe to the channel for more music-related content coming your way if that sounds interesting. And I will see you in the podcast episode in a few days. Come tune in.